Hey y'all, welcome back. I'm Morgan. Thank you so much for coming back or tuning in for the first time. Today we are going to be talking about The City of Dusk by Tara Sim. And oh my goodness, I really enjoyed this book. I wasn't sure what to expect going in, but it really hooked me. I really enjoyed the storytelling of this book and the plot of how it moved along. And it took me a little bit because at the beginning, it's introducing you to each of the characters and their motivations, a little bit of their family and magic stuff. So the beginning wasn't super strong, but that's okay. I liked how much it told about the world because that's, like with lag, but how it also parsed out like the history of the religions and the interactions between the gods through the book. It wasn't all at once. It was very broken up, and sometimes they were learning things that hadn't been known before or had been lost kind of to history, buried. And so that was, additional bits of history found out later on, which, yep, that was very nice. I liked Tayessa's character, even though she went, down a rabbit hole. And some people would probably see, like, yes, she tried to be the monster. Yes, she tried to be bad. But she was so good at being bad sometimes. She was still trying to be a good person at the same rate. And maybe that part should go in the spoilery section of the video. The City of Dusk is the main city and location of this book. It is the common name, or whatever you call, like how Chicago's the Windy City. That is what this city is, because the city is Nexus, and it is a city made up of several different kinds of people, kind of. It used to be where the portals from the other realms would connect into our realm, which is Vente. Let's go ahead and put a disclaimer here that I might mispronounce several names of people and or locations. I will try my best. Vente, though, as where the story takes place, is ruled over by the god Dia, who is a god of earth and elements and such. And the people here, though, knowing that there were 4 realms that used to all be connected on the cosmic scale, also know that there are 4 other gods of creation, which is Thana, god of the dead, Nyx, who is the god of darkness and shadows, and Phos, who is the god of light. And for each of the gods, at some point in history, they procreated with people, or with a specific person. They only have one line of descendants. Dia in Vente is her realm of power, so her influence is kind of still more felt there. And her line is the Mardovas, and they have control over all of the elements. There are some people in Vente who can control 1 or even 2 elements, but her line is the only one that can control all 4 elements. Then the god of death, Thana, her line is the Varkra. They are necromancers, so that means they have control over dead things. They can raise dead things, they can commune with spirits, they can find out how people died, or put restless spirits to peace, I guess may be the right thing to say. Nyx, the god of dark, his line is the Last Riders, and they are shades who can control shadows. And they also have these cute little shadow familiars that they always just sound so playful. And some of them can shape their familiars into like the shape of objects to be able to be weapons, shields, lockpicks. It's different for everybody and their control and because the shades, there's different variations of ability within them. Like Some of them are very good at shadow manipulation and control, whereas others are good at just becoming the darkness, and one is even more of a dream walker of sorts. She can travel through dreams with the shadows and the darkness. And the last god, Phos, the god of light, and his line is House Seer. And they have control over light the way the last riders have control over the shadows. And they also have little light familiars that they don't change shape exactly as much. I think maybe a little bit, but not quite as much. And each house is being descended from gods. They're not really on agreeable terms. They're kind of all very competitive and don't encourage interaction between the houses so much, which is weird. So, what noble people do, though, in a lot of these types of stories, I suppose. But all of the heirs, though, which they're all in their young 20s or something, for the current generation, though, they're very connected to each other still, except for the Last Riders and the Mordovas. The girls kind of hate each other, are very competitive against each other. But other than that, our main characters are Tayessa, Last Rider, and Risha Varkra, who are best friends, and they have been since they were very young, and Nicholas Seer, and Angelica Mordova. And those are the 4 heirs of the gods, and that we follow through pretty much the whole story. We do get 2 other perspectives, I think only 2. Somebody else might have gotten 1 chapter. 3. We get 3 other perspectives. 1, you don't find out who it is, though, because they don't really know who they are through most of the story, so you find out like right at the very end that is resolved. But 500 years ago, the realm of Vete, which being connected on the cosmic scale and having the portals to be able to travel between realms, was a very big trade place until the sealing happened, where it was cut off from all the other realms. As things in Verte are starting, and I said it weird, are starting to get worse, the land is dying, there's crop shortages, weird happenings a lot more often. That ending, I was a little bit afraid when I was at the middle-y part and there was the big thing happening, and I was like, it cannot leave off in like a big cliffhangery way or something, because I was getting that feeling like, oh my goodness, it might. But it didn't. It did, leave it very open, showing where the next book's gonna go for sure, and I liked it. I am so ready for the next book now, which is probably going to be a good minute until we can get it. Sad. Okay, so spoileries. Let's see. One of the things that I didn't like as much, I will say here, is because of some of Tayessa's decisions, namely murder, and not actually just coming out and telling her friends that she killed somebody, which yes, of course, maybe she wouldn't want to tell her friend she killed somebody, but because of doing it and kind of hiding it, it fractured their relationship. Even though Dante's goal of the Parliamenty thing was only part of the reasoning for wanting to break the sealing, when Risha found out that that was why Tay was wanting to follow Dante's plan and why she was trying to do this ritual to break through to the other realms, she got really upset and was saying, you lied to me, you're just using us. This, we don't want to take down the monarchy. That's not what this is for. It's supposed to be for the people, not for yourselves. And so that really fractured their relationship. And if you've been friends since childhood, and yes, Tay is kind of a selfish person, not that she tries to be, it's just because she is thinking of her people, the Noctans. She really wants to help them and she wants to do what's best for them. But sometimes her actions, she doesn't think about the consequences, I guess, in that manner. But still, if you've been her friend since you guys were little, you know her, you should understand her, and you can't be like, well, you're just lying to me, you're using me. Your goals is still the same. You want to bust this down. Sure, she wants to do that little thing to it, but telling her that it's only for her own gain, for her house's gain, not to help anybody, that's not true. You know that's not true. Yes, possibly you're just so shocked thinking you don't hurt her because she did murder somebody. But it was self-defense the first time. The other times, not so much. That was really, though, when she started to slip down the rabbit hole of her sanity wasn't quite as there anymore. So yeah, but her character development was very interesting to watch because it wasn't like character growth as much as she's going a little bit nuts. I always enjoyed Risha's chapters though because she was a very thoughtful person and like she thought out her actions. She never just went and did something except when they were in the middle of a battle in the heat of the moment, and she was able to figure out what she needed to do though that would help the most amount of people. Like she didn't hesitate. She was possibly also one of the strongest in her powers, but that's because hers were more of a straightforward power, like her family line. It didn't vary as much in what the abilities could be, so there was training for it that was very kind of straightforward. And so she'd been trained her whole life and she was very strong in it. Whereas some of the other ones, Tay was also very strong in hers, but with the Shade family members though have varying abilities of what exactly their shadow powers are. So while hers are strong, it was a different kind of training. And Nick, though, his powers were very stunted because after the death of his younger brother, who had technically been the family heir, I guess even when they were younger, his powers might have been stronger. But when his brother died, he kind of lost a part of his powers. And he had never been able to really do as much. And his father kind of resented him for being the one that lived. And he resented himself because he always blamed himself for his brother's death, even though they were kids and they were exploring. It could not be his fault that the bugs bit his brother and he got a fever. Sure, as the older sibling, he might think I shouldn't have taken him there. I should have been more responsible. But they were little kids. Nothing he could have done about that. And Angelica, her powers could have been the strongest, except that she was completely unable to harness them. She could only use her elemental powers when playing music, and this was seen as a crutch to have to use a tool to focus her powers. So her mother would deny her her instruments and did not want to be seen weak in front of the eyes of the other houses, and she never even got to go to a university or a school or anything because nobody could know that she couldn't harness her powers. It was a very embarrassing kind of thing, and it just made her angry all the time. The king of the realm, King Ferdinand, who just seems completely as an incompetent ruler because he doesn't care that the crops are failing, that people are being mistreated. All he cares about is suppressing the conjurers, which is a type of forbidden magic that they believe will just summon demons. And he wants to suppress them because there have been people popping up that have been using it. And all the houses, though, are trying to support him and be his favorites because as far as they know, he does not have an heir and will pick one of their children to be the next to sit the throne. So all the houses are constantly competing for the king's favor and to be the best, and it's just nuts, especially as you find out later on that he did have a secret son that he had hidden away the whole time. And that's a crap move. The gods in this book, though, are cruel as crap. Like, that's probably why it's called the Dark Gods. Because while the heirs are going through making their plans to do this ritual to be able to break the ceiling, at least that's what their hope is, they can break the ceiling and save their realm and allow peoples to travel and get supplies and whatnots again. The gods have their whole other plan, and they're letting them go through with this planning, but at the same time, some of the gods, well, two of the gods did actually talk to the heirs and tell them, you can't undo what we've done, you know, or this isn't important, there are bigger things in store for you. And you don't really find out until about 3/4 of the way through what this is pertaining to. And they're just awful. They like don't care about people at all. Not about like the ones devout to them or any peoples in general. Like the king, they just care about power and ruling. And that's, wow, why even create people? The only thing towards the end that I didn't like was where they brought in someone else to kind of be a villainous character when we already had that they're trying to do this ritual to save the realm and the gods are kind of against them, and so they're going up against gods, but then you bring in another villainous type of person to have to defeat as well. Which I get it, this person had been, you know, working throughout the story, like they were the reason a lot of things went wrong. But I just didn't like that it was just there at the end and had to face them in the middle of all this crisis as well. It just didn't seem necessary. Maybe we could have saved that till book 2 and had it be something to have to be figured out more in book 2, or defeated in book 2. As I said though, from the ending we definitely see what's going to happen for several of our characters in book 2 and their struggle of what they're going to have to do, and I can't wait to get a hold of it and be able to see how she's going to do it, because I definitely was pleasantly surprised by how well this went and how much I liked it so much. I ended up giving this book a 4.5 stars because, yes, I thoroughly enjoyed it. When I finished it yesterday morning, I was like, oh my gosh. So I would definitely recommend City of Dusk if you like various forms of magic. Like, it is not just one system of magic in this book. It has several different kinds of magic because there are different peoples from the different realms, and there is only one family though able to do 2 of the types of magic, but the people from the other realms are able to do slight magic like some of the other heirs because they are of the different realms. So interested in books with various forms of magic, very dark turning events and gruesome-ish things, and just, yeah, and a little bit of mystery, I guess. A little bit of mystery was woven in through this book with its world-building history and them trying to solve and do what they needed to do. I enjoyed it so much, and yeah, I think a lot of people will be able to pick this book up and be like, that was really good. It was a very fun adventure. I hope you guys might try The City of Dusk sometime soon, and that book 2 of The Dark Gods does not take too long to come out. Maybe next year, I don't know. A lot of books these days have been coming out one year after the next, so maybe next year we can see the next one, and I would be so happy. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I hope that you have a lovely rest of your weekend. Bye guys.